Hey everyone, now that the last event of the season has ended, I wanted to give you a brief recap of what we did on Devils Lake to catch our fish, what some of the leaders were doing to put some of their winning baskets together to catch the great weights that they caught. And also, I just want to give a big congratulations to Robert Blosser, who was able to secure his second Angler of the Year title. It's a huge feat in the world of walleye fishing. He beat some of the best players out there, and he got it done at every single event. It didn't matter if we were on a major river system like the Mississippi, trolling out in the middle of Lake Erie, or bringing it home on a big new body of water like Devils Lake. He was able to get it done no matter where he went, and my hat's off to him. He had a hell of a year. He really didn't miss a beat every single day in the water, and my hat's off to the guy. He's a phenomenal fisherman, proud to call him my friend, and he's just part of our extended family when we're on the road. So when we first got out to Devils Lake, I just wanted to get my feet underneath me and get a kind of an understanding of the lake. So I focused on deeper break lines, deeper rock structures and stuff like that, just to get the ball rolling. And it took literally minutes to put a few fish in the boat. And after a few hours of that, after working a lot of those deep fish that I was marking, it was just obvious that they were not the right class of fish that I needed to be looking for. Also, when you have, 150 feet of line out when you're trolling and you're bringing up little peanuts like this over and over and over again, you are wasting a lot of time. So what we ended up doing is pushing a little bit shallower, focusing on weed bed fish that were in the weeds, on that fringe line of weeds just outside of the main weed bed and scattered just outside of the weed edge itself. Those seem to be the better class of fish, your 17 to 22 inch fish, and that's about as good as we could get going for us. So in order for us to efficiently catch those fish, we had several different ways of attacking the weeds. It depended on the wind, it depended on where the fish were biting that particular day on that particular area. So like when I would arrive on a set of weeds, depending on which way the wind was, I would try to make a controlled drift parallel to the weed line, and I'd have one person in the back of the boat snap jigging plastics, and I'd have the person on point casting into the weeds parallel to the weed edge or at an angle to bring out from that fringe and try to extract bites from fish that were hanging tighter to the weeds. The person in the back of the boat would be more in the open, and they would just make a comfortable cast out with a 1/4 to a 1/2 ounce jig head and a 4 to 5 inch plastic. It really didn't matter what plastic it was. Gulp Trigger X and some of these 5-inch shad imitators, they all work just as well. You cast it out there, and instead of a subtle lift drop, working it pretty aggressively, making long sweeps of the rod and letting that jig fall very fast was the key to triggering those bites. Those fish were it was amazing how they'd engulf that jig. They really wanted that jig if you fished it aggressively, and that's what we did to catch most of our fish. And it's so efficient. You don't have to sit there and rebait a hook after you catch a fish. You literally just sting a couple, unhook it, chuck it back out there, and you're catching 3 fish for every 1 fish that you might be catching doing another technique. Unfortunately, we weren't catching the right fish throughout the tournament, but you would literally go through 30 to 50 fish a day, between casting crankbaits and jigging plastics along the weeds. So, that was the best pairing that we had going for us for that tournament. It didn't fare well for Brett, for myself. Blosser actually had a top 20 doing that. But again, the right fish seemed to be up in that Pelican Lake area for the majority of the field that were up there, and that's where it went down. For those guys that were up there, a lot of them were fishing, deeper bridge pilings or deeper holes, and they were getting it done with things like the Hutch jigging spoon, which is called a Walleye, and we were even using these on the main lake too on some of the deeper break lines. I had fish up to 24, 25 inches in practice on some of those deeper break lines doing this, but it just wasn't very consistent. You'd have to go through a pile of peanuts to get a good bite, and it just didn't pan out for me during the actual tournament. But again, it was just an aggressive lift drop, nothing finesse about the techniques that we were doing to catch our fish. It was all trying to trigger aggressive reactions from the fish. And so that was our program for the Devils Lake area. If you're just thinking about going out to the Devils Lake area for a fun fishing trip, you can expect to catch a pile of fish, and not just walleyes. It's infested with northerns, for crying out loud. They got northerns pretty much everywhere you look, which is a lot of fun if you're just out there fun fishing. Huge white bass and as many walleyes as you want to catch. Literally, we could do whatever technique we wanted to do on so many different areas. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can work that technique on most pieces of structure on that lake and expect to catch a ton of fish. It was a lot of fun. I'd love to go back out there and give it another shot now that I have a little bit better understanding of the lake and how it lays out. But it might be a little while till we get back there again. But I just wanted to touch base with you guys, let you know what went on out there, congratulate Blosser on his stellar year that he had in the water. And now it's time to sit behind a booth and work some of the promotions aspects of this game. But in about a month, I'll be back on the water again full time for our Beta Knock rendezvous, and I'm looking forward to that. Should be a lot of big bass, should be a ton of big walleye, and I got my fingers crossed that Mother Nature lets me fish as long as I possibly can up there. So thanks for checking in, guys, and I will be talking with you soon. Have a great one. Get some fishing in. Talk to you later.